Hello guys, welcome back to another video by the renegade Dyspraxic. This is himself. My name's Alex. In today's video I would like to talk to you on a rather sore subject, and that's sore because I've personally been on the bittersweet end of it, and I'm sure being Dyspraxic you've probably had more than your fair share than the average person has, and that's bullying, and in particular bullying within the workplace. Unfortunately, I'd like to start by saying that despite what the myth which many people still believe, which is that most bullies, grow out of being bullies, when they, hit puberty or at the very least become adults. This isn't really the case. In fact, many bullies, in fact the vast majority I'd say, rather than growing out of being bullies, as they grow up and mature, they just really change their strategy of how they bully. For example, if in the workplace, if a bully was to try and apply the same bullying tactics which they use in the playground, aka sizing you out, going up, perhaps hitting you, or taking something of yours and just walking away, that person would very quickly in the workplace be seen as immature, and subsequently would probably lose a lot of status and credibility amongst, the everyone else in the workplace, if not actually being fired. But what bullies tend to do is they become a bit more underhanded and subtle in their bullying when in the workplace. As such, what are parts of this myth which people still have are saying, which is that bullying is something which just happens in school, is quite a lot of people would say, oh, bullying in the workplace isn't really bullying, it's just a personality conflict. Now I would like to debunk that myth now by saying the difference between what a personality conflict and bullying is. Put it simply, in a personality conflict, you've simply got two people, perhaps yourself and someone else, with equally strong personalities, and you essentially both want the same thing. So you could say you're a bit like, deers. You're pretty much, when horns, knocking each other, or should I say reindeers, not deers, sorry. Horns, bashing each other, pretty much at loggerheads with each other. But as soon as one person achieves whatever they want, the conflict's over because it was simply over something else. That's a personality conflict. Bullying, however, it does not work like that. Bullying is where one person, usually a cowardly, spineless person, who in themselves feels weak or finds that being nasty is a way to get ahead. These people simply find a person who's a bit more sensitive or has a certain odd behaviour, perhaps due to their dyspraxia, like ourselves, and decides, therefore, I'm going to carry out pretty much a campaign of hate, where I'm going to pretty much make that person's life absolutely miserable for them in any way I can. I'll do this via, trying to rally people behind me, and will crack jokes at that person's expense, or I might even, take stuff of that person off his work desk, or I might even, extreme cases, use some physical violence when no one else is around on this person, or use threats of physical violence. I should say from the outset, no matter what job you're in, if you have been physically threatened by somebody who's still working within that company, and you haven't actually, or maybe you haven't reported it, do it now. Do not sit at the desk any longer. Do not, just carry on working, pretending, oh, it's happened, it's done and dusted. I just crossed that, angered that person again. That's why he was violent to me or physically, threatened me. No, do not tolerate that at all. Get up now if you're listening to this at your workplace and go and report that incident to, a supervisor or a manager. And if you unfortunately happen to be working in a small company where, perhaps there's a team of 7 or 8 of you, including the guy who runs the company, and he was the one who actually, or she even, bullying is, I should say, just as common amongst men as it is amongst women. If the person who bullies you is actually the CEO or the founder of the company, just pack your stuff up now and go leave the office. Trust me, I know you're thinking, oh, I've got, I need to make money and I've got to support a family perhaps, but when it comes to your physical well-being, it's far safer that you look after yourself physically, because essentially you teach people, how to treat you. And so if you're teaching them that they can physically threaten you or actually physically attack you, even if it's just a punching you or pushing, brushing you to the side aggressively. Even if you teach people that, you've pretty much given them permission to do it again, and I guarantee you they will do it again. And the reason they'll do it again is because they did it once, they learnt that nothing came of it, and therefore it's a free house to do it again if they're stressed. Likewise, also you'll find that because they get used to being physically aggressive to you, and bullies do tend to push the boundaries a bit and test the water, you'll find that they'll become even more physically aggressive to you, through less provocation, or so it's not like you argue back for them and they suddenly decided in the heat of an argument they hit you. It's a case of, oh, you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time in the end. Right, hit you for a joke. That's their sadistic fun. So anyway, if you just want to say from the outset now, if you are in a working environment and there's someone working within the office or near you, and you've been physically threatened by them, go and tell someone in management immediately. Do not wait till the end of this video. And if, however, the person who is the bully and has threatened you physically is the manager or the company owner, just pack your stuff up and go. It's not worth it. Your well-being and safety is far more important than any money. You'll only be out of work for a brief while anyway. In this economy, you'll be back in work again doing something else no time at all. Plus, if that was the case, you were physically threatened, you can also take the company to court because you were forced out, and taken through a court tribunal. There are lots of, laws out there, and citizens' advice will be of great help to you. Anyway, coming back though, fortunately, most bullying, we're saying of the physical sort, is quite rare. However, and should also add, physical threats of violence as well in the workplace is quite rare. Unfortunately, what does seem to be a lot more common in the workplace is what I call verbal bullying. Verbal bullying also includes, anything that's what I call not physical. So perhaps, deliberately moving stuff off your desk or treating your property like rubbish. They'll just take your stuff, because they don't see you as being worthy of even asking permission for, to use your stuff. To another very common strategy which bullies tend to deploy, which is, obviously cracking jokes at your expense and trying to get an audience behind them. I don't know why, but I think it's just, bullies, whether they deep down they know they're doing wrong, or whether it's just, it's more fun to have an audience. Bullies love to seem to get a crowd, or just often in behind themselves. They love to try and get people to mock or attack you, and in the sense of it's safer in numbers to be a bully, especially if they're the ones who are doing the bullying still, but there are people there laughing at their insults at you, which I understand is completely horrible because it makes the impression that, hang on, if 8 people are laughing at me and one person's been nasty, maybe what this person's saying about me is true. That's actually not really the case at all. In fact, many people, especially those who laugh, are actually, sheep, really, as the best way to describe it. They don't want to be the target of the bully themselves. So what they'll do is they'll join the bully by laughing. In other words, it's just a safetying. If I feel I can't beat the bully myself, I'll join the bully and hide sheepishly behind him. So whilst he takes his, mocks you in the process and makes your life hell, he's leaving them alone. I know it's very cowardly, and unfortunately, to actually change, for someone to, stand up. I mean, there's lots of psychological research which has shown that to stand up to a bully, even if you're not been the one being bullied, but you just see bullying taking place, it can be quite hard. There's kind of a conformity thing where you just want to get along with other people. If you're interested and want to know more, I'd recommend looking at the research by a psychiatrist called Philip Zimbardo. I'll leave a link to some of his stuff, on the description of the site. Essentially, he looked at, conformity and found out how people will often go along with, seeing evil acts and not stand up and object. But anyway, I'm coming away from the point here. If you do happen to be the target of some sort of verbal bullying, obviously it's not a case of just pack up your bags and walk away, because it's not as extreme as physical bullying. But I would still recommend that you go and report it immediately to a supervisor or a manager, or basically someone higher up in the organisation. And of course, if it's a small company you're working for, and obviously it could be the person high up in the company is actually the bully, so you can't go any higher than the founder of the company. The best thing to do really is hand in your resignation, your CV, and just look for other jobs elsewhere. I mean, you might want to apply a bit of logic with the. You could try apply a bit of logic where you say to the company, founder, look, I'm working in your company and you are being a bit of a bully to me. As such, it's actually going to be affecting your bottom line profit in the end, because I'm not going to be able to perform as well because I don't feel emotionally as well when doing the work, and that's going to affect my performance. Unfortunately, with a typical bully, you try and explain that to them, they don't get it. They just see it as, they're too self-absorbed and like, I'm just having too much fun mocking you. Why should I change my ways? But you never know. If you did try and tell them about the reality and how it might affect them, you might, touch some self-interest in them, and they might actually, stop bullying you. But to be honest, I think your best thing to do is just hand in your resigning or resignation letter, and look for a job elsewhere, because just like your physical well-being, your psychological well-being is also just as important. One of the benefits I will add of working for generally larger companies is, in a larger company, you're going to have more of a hierarchy, and therefore, if someone above you, or even if your manager is being a bully to you, the chances are there is going to be that your manager is going to have a manager, and it's going to go up to a director above him, and you're tend to finding. I mean, I know I'm making a bit of a stereotype here, forgive me, but in a very large multinational organisation, the people who are directors, yes, they may be very pushy people themselves and very driven and angry, but they're not people who are going to tolerate bullying, because they know that it's actually bullying hurts the company, and it essentially hurts their bottom line in the end, hurts their profit line, because not everyone's going to be able to perform, as well if there's a sense of fear in the office, especially, if a sense of, I don't want to come into work today, and, I'm not going to stay behind and do extra hours because X person who's in the same office as me is just going to use it as more time to try and take the mick out of me and get others to laugh at me. So in a large organisation, and if the bullying is taking place, at your level, obviously report it up and get it sorted out. And however, if the bullying is taking place within the organisation, like above the organisation, above your level, near the top of the organisation, probably in a smaller company this might happen, then best bet is just to pack your bags, mate, and hand in your resignation, work out your notice, and go. And during those few weeks or whatever, if the person happens to be nasty to you, just tune it out and know that in a few weeks from now, this shitty company that you're working in being run by this bully, it'll be all history. However, something I would like to mention before concluding also is that when it comes to bullying, it can be tempting to try and obviously you get angry, and it can be tempting to try and think, right, I'm going to fight fire with fire. If the bully treats me like shit, I'm going to throw the exact same, strategies as him. If he's going to go, take the low road and throw some shit at me, I'm going to happily take the low road and throw some shit back at him. That is it's very tempting to do this, but there is actually a benefit to playing the moral high ground, and that is if you actually go and go down and throw shit back at the bully. Although, as I was saying to you earlier, the difference between a personality conflict and bullying, although it's still officially bullying, from a third person perspective, it can look more like a personality conflict, because essentially both personalities, yourself and the other person, are both throwing mud at each other, and so it looks like, you're both messing around, you're both being, you're both throwing mud at each other, and you're also, in the eyes of any decent people in the workplace, you're both as bad as each other. So essentially, if you do the same sort of tactics as the bully, you're going to essentially just tarnish your own reputation. And unfortunately, I should add, being spineless people, as bullies are, you'd be surprised how quickly, when you do that, very often they'll do a 180-degree turn and quickly play the victim and act like, oh, why are you bullying me now? You're the one who's throwing all these hurts and insults at me, when really you're only doing it to defend yourself. So really the best thing you can do is play the moral high ground, just come in, do your job, keep your nose clean, as they say, and report the bullying. And obviously if the bullying doesn't stop and you feel you can no longer work there, then hand in your resignation, leave, look for what I'd call a more enlightened or people friendly company, and just do that. And if worst case scenario, once you left, you can always again take the company to a courts tribunal and say that you were forced to leave because of bullying that wasn't dealt with. Anyway, that's going to be the basic for this video. If you have any questions, do feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Also, I should add, I think I mentioned this in a video beforehand, but a while ago I wrote a book on bullying in particular. It's called Beat the Bully, A Guide to Dealing with Adult Bullies, and a lot of it does talk about bullying within the workplace. So I'll leave a link to that in the description below of this video, and feel free to inquire about it or even read it, although it's completely up to you. I think I'll be breaking one of YouTube's terms by telling you to buy it and read it. So yeah, that's basically it. And don't forget to give this video the thumbs up, and if you haven't, please subscribe to this channel. Until then, take care guys, and see you on the next video.